Hi, today's good person to know is Bill Boorman. Bill's been in recruitment for the last 25 years and now specialises in training and providing business consultancy advice to a wide range of recruiters. His talk is on the candidate experience and aimed at HR and recruiting professionals. Do you know, people, you're getting it wrong. You're spending your budgets on careers fairs when actual fact candidates are using webinars to source information. Also, the way in which you are putting jobs out there is different to how candidates are trying to find jobs. They go to LinkedIn individual profile pages, not company pages, and they tend to stalk a person for at least 7 months before applying. So they really are clued up as to the kind of organisation they want to work for. You also need to be really honest about the kind of interview that is entailed. For example, is it a group interview? Are there prereqs what they need to know about? You have this information. You should share it with them so they are fully prepared for the interview. Also, are you engaging with candidates at the right time? Between 6:15 and 9:10, their commute into work is probably when they're most logged on. Also, between 10 to 11 and 11:15, probably when they're having a cigarette break. Or between quarter to 12 and 2:15, their lunchtime. Or finally between 4:30 and 9:30, their commute home, or when they're at home having thought about their day at work and how much they hate it or how much it's time for them to move on. This is a time they are logged on. This is a time you should be communicating with them. I hope you find this video extremely useful for yourself. Bill gives facts as to what the candidates are looking for and their experience, and hopefully you can improve that experience by taking on board what Bill said. Thank you for watching.
Because we hear a lot of people talking about candidate experience, but very few people providing hard data that says actually this is what the candidates want. So it takes 75 applicants on average to fill a job. 70% of the people who apply are considered unsuitable or unqualified. There's only 20% of the people who apply ever saw a job spec. Most of them are applying direct from a link or a tweet or a post. How can we get more applicants? That's actually the last thing you need. If you want to improve candidate experience, it's more about how do we get the right applicant. I don't believe, based on what we're seeing, that we need to make it easier to apply. Our problem is that too many people are applying. Recruiting and talent acquisition has been hijacked by the digital media mafia who said we've all got to make our organisations look sexy and get everyone to apply for them. So where do employers communicate? Where do they put their message out when they want to talk to the job market? 88.9% use the career site as their primary source of communicating. That's where they put most of their job messages, and it's pretty static. 76.5% use LinkedIn company pages as a means of communicating with candidates. That's the first bit of LinkedIn data you'll get, which didn't come from a LinkedIn survey, by the way. 76.5% use career site notifications, so that's email, that's the push email notification of new jobs that come up. 72.2% use LinkedIn groups, and 47.1% use Twitter feeds. So of the companies we surveyed, those were the results we got back in terms of places that they chose to communicate. When we asked the candidates, where do you go to source information, 73% said we go to LinkedIn to source information. And the way in which they go to LinkedIn is not by company pages. The most viewed area of LinkedIn, if you look at any data, is individual profiles of people who do the job in the company they're interested in working for. That's the place where people look, and that's probably where the least investment is put in terms of time looking at what the message is about what job is. 51% of the people who applied to a company were connected, and were connected in 4 or more places, and have been connected with that company on an average for 7 months. So that was people who either belonged to Facebook pages, followed people on LinkedIn, followed people on Twitter. People don't apply for jobs in the way that they did before. They don't apply for random jobs, they stalk companies and recruiters. They're following people in companies for up to 7 months before they apply. And I think that's quite relevant, that 51% of the applicants were already connected and building knowledge of the company in terms of finding out who they wanted to work. This one really scared me, this bit of data. I thought this was really shocking. 51% of the candidates had a team interview at some stage in the process. By a team interviews, were interviewed by more than one person at the same time. Only 10% of them knew that was going to happen. 60% of people who applied to discover there was a qualifier, a requirement of that job, which was a yes or no requirement, which most of us have in the jobs that we recruit for. only to discover it at the end of the process. The hiring manager in the recruiting process has a direct relationship to candidate satisfaction. So the more people you put in the process, the more people you put in the chain, the worse the candidate experience. Most of people's complaints are human issues over feedback, the way they're dealt with, the way they were handled, the respect they were given in the candidate process, how they were communicated with. Human touch is what makes a difference rather than technology. Transparent branding was another big thing. I just want to know the truth about the organisation. I actually want to know the reasons I might not want to apply here, because I don't want to discover this isn't where I want to work. The candidates want to talk to people in the following hours. These are the golden hours in recruiting. These are when people are accessing your content and asking questions. Between the hours of 6:15 and 9:10. There's another peak between 10 to 11 and 11:15, between 11:45 and 2:15, and then from 4:30 till 9:30 at night. It's not a 9 to 5 job, right? So you have to look at it and say, are we communicating with our candidates at the time they want to communicate? Webinars, actual webinars and hangouts and places where they can communicate. What's the place they wanted to get most information, most useful for them? People don't want to talk to recruiters, apart from about the recruiting process. If I'm a programmer, I want to talk to a programmer. I want to get the real story. You know, webinars was it has been the #1 choice in every independent survey that I've seen, and yet the least investment from organisations involved in the Candidate Experience Awards was in webinars. The least valuable in terms of gathering information was careers fairs and mill rounds, and that was the #1 in terms of investment.